I needed to make an extra $10,000 in my business this week, like my life depended on it, this is exactly what I would do. And in case you don't know who I am, my name is Wes Briggs. I've been in the internet marketing industry for more than 12 years. Yes, I know I'm a fucking dinosaur. You're gonna have to get over it. In that 12-year period, I've worked behind the scenes with many of your favorite influencers or gurus to help them sell their products and services to a combined nearly $10 million in additional revenue. Now, I don't say any of this to impress you, but rather to impress upon you that everything I'm about to share with you today isn't theory, it's practice. And it's what's worked for them, it's what's working for me, and I have no doubt in my mind that it'll also work for you. And honestly, I really should be charging you for this, but fuck it, today, I'm gonna give it to you for free. Because if you can't make money with this approach, what I'm about to share with you, I don't know if you should be in business. Because this is hands down, without a doubt, the most bulletproof method to success that I have ever seen. And I've done it all. Which is why, if I needed to make an extra $10,000 in my business this week, like my life depended on it, this is exactly what I would do. Now let's get into it. Now that we're over here, let's break down the 10K per week blueprint that I'm gonna reveal to you today. So these are the exact strategies that my clients have used to make more than $7 million online in virtually every niche you can think of. Finance and investing, personal training, relationship coaching, business coaching, fitness and weight loss, various health coaching from supplements to mental health, you name it. Mindset and performance coaching, and even content and marketing coaching. Now, today, I'm gonna break down how to do this with both without paid traffic and with paid traffic. So 100% organic, and then also with a little bit of paid media as well, just to help speed things up and take the burden off. Now, the real challenge here is not whether or not this works. This system bloody well works. It's been proven time and time and time again. Like I said earlier, if you cannot make this system work, I'm not sure if you should be in business, because this thing is ironclad. But the real challenge here is, will it work within 7 days? Now, I have no doubt that it will, but the real challenge for you is being able to deploy it and use it within 7 days so that you can hit that goal of 10K this week. So the first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna start running it without paid traffic. And what you're gonna need to come to terms with is that if you're not using paid traffic, if you do not have money for ads, then the reality is your choice is gonna be to hunt for leads. You're gonna have to grind a little bit harder. The joy of paid traffic is that you can use your money to hunt for you. You don't have to grind necessarily as hard. The same fundamentals all apply. So if you're waiting for the paid traffic, stick around, because all of this is still super valid for you, okay? But as it stands right now, if you do not wanna use paid traffic, then you're gonna have to hunt for your leads. And at the end of the day here, that's gonna take a little bit of work, right? There's no ways around it, but you get to choose. What kind of work do you wanna do? Do you wanna struggle doing what you're doing now? Or do you want something that takes a little bit of work, but it's going to work for you? At the end of the day, you want something that drives results. So put your effort and put your work into something that actually works for you. Now, let's just do some quick math here on what this looks like so you know what you're getting yourself into. The first thing is we're gonna look to open up and create 100 new conversations per day. Now, don't let this number scare you. This is actually super manageable when you're tackling it throughout the day. From those 100 new conversations, we're gonna have about 15 or so that are gonna be actually qualified with our target market, somebody who's in market looking for our help or looking for some kind of help with what their offer is. From those 15 conversations, 3 to 4 will actually agree to book calls with us when you use the script that I'm gonna share with you. Now, I use booked calls loosely here. I prefer to sell completely in chat, but if we're looking for certainty and speed, booked calls is gonna be the faster way to do this. However, you don't have to get directly on calls. I don't. I close my deals through the DMs now. And so I use booked calls loosely here because booked calls is more what you would call a sales qualified lead, which is somebody who's now showed intent with getting help or moving forward in the sales process. So booked calls, sales qualified leads, take whatever you will from it. We're gonna generate about 3 to 4 of those per day from the 100 there. Now, of these 3 to 4 sales qualified leads, you're gonna close, because they're cold, roughly about 10% if you're half decent at sales. If you're really good, you'll close more. But 10% is a very safe estimate. So if you take, let's go on the low side, 3 times 7, that's gonna be 21 calls or 21 sales qualified leads throughout the week, which at 10% is gonna give you 2 to 3 new clients. And so if you charge $5K for your package, there's your 10K for the week. It's really, really simple, guys. Now, if you also do the math, this is how you hit 40K months. You've only got to close 2 clients a week at 5K to hit 40K. Now, if you charge an even more expensive product, maybe you charge 12K, 15K, 20K for your product. You got to close 1. And so you could close 1 per month or 2 per month at that rate and hit a 40K month run rate as a solo business owner or a small team. It's extremely, extremely profitable. Now with those KPIs out of the way, let's talk about how we're actually going to do it. So the very first thing that I would do is get my content game right. Now, this is going to work for you whether or not you have an existing content backlog, or if you're brand new. This is a brand new account. It doesn't matter. The fundamentals in the system are exactly the same. And I've seen this work on brand new accounts with literally 0 followers, all the way up to accounts that have hundreds of thousands of followers. And so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get our content game on freaking point. And what I'm gonna talk about here is we're gonna talk primarily about 3 different styles of content. And we wanna showcase how I get results for my clients, why their existing solutions don't work, and then I'm also gonna give them some value in the form of solutions to micro problems that they have. A lot of people get this part screwed up, where they'd say, we'll just provide value, and they use ChatGPT to spit out some garbage. You do not want to do that. That's gonna position you as every other person out there on Instagram. And so what we do instead is we go hyper niche into exactly what we're doing. If you look at this creative here, I said, stop getting ghosted in the DMs. I'm hyper targeting into a very specific problem that only my online business owner who sells through the DMs is using. And so that's my example of a micro problem. How I drive results is in the form of running a 6-figure business is easy, right? Or I'm gonna show them what their existing solutions are that they're currently trying to do that isn't working. Which right now, if you're currently trying to run webinars, right, or Facebook groups and school groups, and it's not working for you, I'm gonna tell you why it's not working for you in my content, and I'm gonna show you exactly why what we do works better. And that's gonna win people over and shift their beliefs towards, hey, maybe this thing actually isn't for me, but this thing seems to be working better, right? And you can do this with everything from weight loss, health coaching, mindset coaching. It doesn't freaking matter, guys. Just use this format because it works. Now, moving on. In order to do this properly, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna list out all the problems that my ideal client is facing. So what are they trying right now that isn't working? What quantifiable goal do they have that they're currently failing at achieving? What symptoms are they experiencing while they're failing at achieving that every single day? And what is currently getting in the way of them achieving it on their own? And so this is what we're doing to identify what their pain points and their roadblocks are so that we can address this kind of stuff in our content. A pro tip here is to take this out and map out like a customer journey. And if you think about where the customer is, as right now they're on Hell Island and they want to get to Heaven Island, but they can't just jump across from island to island. There's going to be a series of stones that they have to hop on in order to get from the one island to the next. Otherwise, they're going to drown in the water. And so this is your customer journey of every piece that they have to do to get across. Within those stones, there's going to be roadblocks or problems or friction points that they encounter. For example, if you're talking about weight loss, they're going to have to buy healthier groceries, or they're going to have to meal prep. What does that look like? They don't know what that looks like. Maybe it's choosing the right containers. Maybe it's a grocery list. Maybe it's a list of healthy foods that they can buy or not buy, right? So things like that. Think about every friction point that your client's going to have. Those become your micro problems, right? So if you don't know what these things are for whatever reason, the best thing you can do is go and talk to your customers. If that's not an option for whatever reason, you're trying to do this quickly, then you can use ChatGPT. And so I like this prompt here where I load into ChatGPT and I say, hey, I'm an occupation that serves niche by solving problem with my solution. Can you please take the role of a world-class market researcher? I'd like you to dive deep into my avatar and discover what their fears, challenges, pain points, and frustrations are. Once you've done that, can you please expand into it what they've already tried to do it to solve it, how it went for them, the emotions they felt about it and why it didn't work for them? And once they implement my solution, can you please output what it will look like to help them achieve this in the next 30 days and what their life will look like by this time next year? Please be as specific as possible and keep your answers tangible. This is another pro tip. Whenever you're writing copy or making content, always keep your responses or keep your content as tangible as possible when you're talking about what a customer sees. If I wanted to say, hey, are your DMs empty? I could say, if you only have 2 qualified leads in your DMs right now, then we need to talk. Notice the shift in tangibility. One is a quantifiable number, right? And maybe it's not exactly 2 in their DMs, but if it's 3, 4, whatever, maybe 0, they're gonna think, man, I really should be having more than I have right now, versus are your DMs empty, which is kind of just boring and plain. Now, moving on. Moving fast here, so make sure you're keeping up. Here's the script that I'm gonna use in my content that has been proven to work time and time and time again. Now, I'm really over delivering for you guys here. I'm literally giving you the entire system from what you gotta do, what you gotta say, when you gotta say it, everything. Now, we're gonna open the script up with common specific problem. Now, this is something, again, the micro problem that they're having or something that they're facing. And this is gonna be, are you currently getting ghosted in the DMs by your prospects, right? Mistake they're making is what they're currently doing to try to fix it. This is likely something that their other guru has told them that isn't currently working for them. So in this case, maybe you've tried automating your responses, but it's not really working. Your clients are still, maybe you're trying to automate your responses, but it's not really working for you because your leads, they just think that you're a robot. And so nobody wants to interact with a robot, do you? Right? The reason why it doesn't work is because people don't want to talk to a robot. And so then we introduce our solution. Now our solution could be different. Our solution could be to task a member of your team with outreach with customized voice messages to pass along. Okay? Now we're going to talk about the solution and why it's better. And then we're going to say, now here is exactly step by step how you go about doing that. Right? Step 1, hire a VA from onlinejobs.ph.com, whatever it is. Okay? And then you're going to walk them through step by step the value of getting to that end outcome. And then we're going to do what's called installing belief. Now, installing belief is when you do this, you're going to get dream outcome that you wanted to in the first place. And then we drop them a call to action, which is whatever we're looking to post at the time. In this case, it's probably DM me this word for information about how we can help. Or you can drop them a lead magnet, or you can ask them to follow you. If you're asking for followers, that's a little bit less intentional than commenting for a script and way less intentional about DMing you for information about your products and services. So make sure you're swapping out the 3 of them interchangeably. Okay, moving on. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus on getting visible in my community. And what this looks like is I'm gonna make a list of 20 relevant influencers that I know have my audience. Because if you don't have money on ads, you can't just rely on the fact that your content is gonna reach the right people. It will, and that's great, but you can't rely on that alone. So what you need to do is you need to go find 20 relevant influencers that have your audience. This is what we call sort of like audience hijacking. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop meaningful value on their post, not just like your generic bullshit, fire post, bro. We're gonna clarify what the person said, we're gonna add value to it, or we're gonna respectfully disagree and share our version of it. And what this is gonna do is this is going to create some form of contrast and awareness around you and what you do. People are gonna look at you as the expert and somebody of value. And when they do that, a portion of them will click to your profile, engage with your other content, which we just created in the last step, and some will follow you, or they will engage with your content. which is slowly building our group of engagers and building our pipeline. The other thing we can do is if we're finding that we're not getting enough people engaging with us, we can actually respond to other comments who are asking for clarification or help on other influencers' posts. And so if we go in, we hit reply, go in, and we can actually help these people out for the influencer. And what this is gonna do is this is gonna get people checking out our profile because we're helping them. This is a very effective way of building trust with somebody because they don't necessarily know you yet. And we're gonna repeat this for at least 10 times every single day. Now, again, I cannot stress this enough. Don't be a douchebag about this. Okay, don't go in and just hijack somebody's audience and say, hey, follow me for more, right? Don't drop shit like that on somebody's page. You'll get banned off the person's page. You might get reported. People are not gonna like you. They're gonna flag you as spam. Nobody's gonna actually do that. But if you show up and provide value on somebody else's post, you may even have the creator themselves reach out to you and try to do a collab or a JV or something like that, right? So be a human being, be an expert, and do what you're best at, which is provide help, provide value, and respectfully agree or disagree with the post at hand. Next, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna prove to them that I can actually get them results, because nobody's gonna hire me if they don't think that I can get results. So what I'm gonna do here is daily, I'm gonna share my wins, I'm gonna drop client testimonials or screenshots. And if I don't have enough of those, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into different clients' accounts or my own results, and I'm gonna share snapshots of just things that I've done that can prove what I'm doing is working. Because without proof, nobody's gonna believe you nowadays. And so you're just wasting your time. So, and if I don't have any proof yet, like I haven't, if you don't have any clients, you haven't done this for anybody else yet, then you should have at least validated this yourself. Because this isn't gonna work for you if everything that you're talking about is just theory and you don't have any results to show for it. But you can use your own, whether it's an employer, whether it is, something that you did to solve your own problem for your own business, whatever that looks like, you need to have some form of tangible proof that this works. Share your wins about what you did that shows people that you can get results for them, because that's ultimately what people want. Right? Don't be a douchebag about it, and don't say things like, I'm gonna get you $10,000 a month or you don't pay. Don't make egregious claims. That's not what this is. This is about sharing results, sharing case studies, things that you have done in the past that dictate a history of you being able to get them the result that they want, right? Otherwise, why should they pay you? Now, beyond that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show the fuck up, because especially for a 7-day sprint like this, I'm gonna hit and go live absolutely every single day. And there's a very strategic process to this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop a Q&A sticker in my stories the night before. This is gonna give me ammunition for my live stream. So what am I actually gonna talk about? What are people here for? What does my audience wanna learn about what I have to say? If nobody answers that, then I'm just gonna arbitrarily pick a lesson for the next day here. The script of what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna teach one core lesson around their problem. This could be a micro problem. This could be a bird's eye view, more systematic around your whole process problem about what your audience is currently doing to get the result that isn't currently working for them. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start this off by telling a story. And the story is likely gonna either be about how I discovered that this was different, better, or wrong, or I'm gonna tell a story about a client where we did this and got them a better result. Either one is totally fine. Then I'm gonna explain why most people get this aspect wrong, what they're doing instead, the symptoms that they're getting because they're doing it wrong, which is gonna show them very clearly that I know what I'm talking about because I can explain their situation to them better than they can explain it themselves. Then I'm gonna share what I do different and why I do it this way, which is gonna demonstrate exactly that I know what I'm talking about, that this isn't just some theoretical bullshit, and that I can get them results. After I do that, anybody who's on the live, I'm gonna invite them on to ask questions and even for quick hot seat coaching live. From there, I'm gonna take note of who's asking questions and attending these lives, and then I'm gonna actually follow up and message them to see if I can book a call with them to support them further after the live stream. And I'm gonna do this every single day. If you go live every single day for 7 days a week and you have any sort of engagement at all on your profile, I can guarantee you without a shadow of a doubt, you will make sales, or you will at the very least generate sales qualified leads. And if your offer is any good, that's when you'll make sales. Okay, so moving on. So now what we're gonna look to do is build my pipeline. And so a sales pipeline in this context is a list of people who have expressed just some kind of interest in your business as a whole. You might be wondering, well, how the hell are we gonna do that? Well, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna open up 100 new DMs a day, and we're gonna follow up with them every single day. If you wanna make 10K this week, you gotta go hard on your prospecting. Sales are what is actually gonna move the needle in your business. Everybody wants to make content and have people come in and just buy, but that is not actually what happens behind the scenes. If you look at every single one of your favorite influencers, unless they have millions and millions and millions of followers and subscribers and traffic that is just pouring into their business, that is something that they've earned. You wanna get to that point, you gotta do the hustle first. And so what we're gonna be doing here is they're called revenue generating activities, and they are quite literally the lifeblood of your business. If you fail to do these, your business will run out of money. You don't want to be in that spot. Okay, so here's what this looks like. We're going to focus on our hottest leads first. These are people who you've already talked to about your offer. They could be even potential people that have either hired you in the past that have fallen off, or paused for whatever reason. They could be referrals, it could be whatever it is, somebody who's already across that sales qualified line that's booked a call, you've discussed with them about your offer, you've sent them your offer doc, whatever it is, you're gonna focus from the bottom up first. And the reason is because that's how we pull forward our deal volume. Next, we're gonna go down there a little bit, and we're gonna go through content engagers and new followers. And so these are going to be people who have engaged with your content, dropped a comment, or recently followed you. And I'm going to give you the exact script that I use to open and close these deals almost at will. And if you want, you can even try doing it explicitly sell by chat, which is what I do. And that way you can, if you're a solo business owner, you have a small team, you don't necessarily have to worry about hiring a big sales team. And it makes things a lot more efficient. The other reason why sell by chat works so well is because when you're on a call, your prospect feels some sort of pressure to make a decision now, versus when you're in the DMs and you're selling by chat, there's no end date, right? You can infinitely follow up with this person. There's no pressure to make a decision right now. And so what happens is when you follow this process that I'm sharing with you right now, you start to build up this backlog of sales pipeline volume, and you have a ton of free time to engage with people, create content, do follow-ups, and provide meaningful value for them so that they actually want to hire you. And then your leads are leaning in instead of feeling like they're being forced to make a decision. Now, after that, we're gonna look actually to story views and interactions from our community. And so these are people who may have checked out your profile from your posts, and then viewed your stories or highlights to see what you're all about. And the last one that we're gonna go with is people who have engaged with us in the community. So like if we drop a spicy comment on an influencer's page and somebody replies to us like, oh, this was great value, I love this, thanks for sharing. You might DM them and just say, hey, thanks for the love on the comment, just wondering what resonated about it with you the most. I'm gonna share the exact script later on here. One question you might have is, man, 100 new DMs a day, that sounds like a shitload of stuff to organize. It is, and it's not. It is if you don't have the proper process, and this can get untenable very, very quickly. But when you can organize it in something as simple as a simple sell by chat system like this, which, by the way, there's the link in the description for you to download. I'm going to give it to you completely for free. Normally I reserve this specifically just for clients, but I feel like if I just give you the process to generate 100 DMs and you go out there at will, you're going to have a hell of a time managing it. So I want to give this to you for free so that you're able to do this successfully. I told you I'm not holding anything back here. The next step here is your daily schedule. And this is critically important because if you just go off in the morning and send 100 DMs a day, whether it's to your followers, your content engagers, or even potentially your community network, you're gonna get banned really, really quickly. And so what we have found is the safe threshold is no more than 20 new open DMs within a 2-hour period. And so as long as you're outside that 2-hour period, you're fine. And so this is the schedule that I like to adhere to the best. What I do is the first thing in the morning is I hit all my follow-ups. This is where I like to engage my hottest prospects, sort of hitting them back and saying, hey, just got time to get back to you, making sure this is still a priority for you, or hey, let me know your thoughts on the above, or better yet, shoot them a quick video or voice note wishing them a good day, and then restating the question that you just asked. And then also going through and interacting, heart liking or whatever. And if they're a really hot prospect, what you can do is go in and start engaging with their content and stories to bump that up. Not gonna get super in-depth into the follow-up process. If you just stick to those fundamentals that I shared there, you'll be well and good. Okay, then I'm gonna open up 20 new conversations at 10, 20 more at lunch while I'm eating, 20 more at 2 p.m. while I'm filling up my coffee, and then 20 at 5 p.m. right before I leave for the day, and then I'm gonna do 20 more while I'm sort of hanging out in bed. Again, this is when you start to scale this up, where you would hire something like an SDR or a DM setter to help you do this, so that it's not necessarily you as the founder doing this, but for the sake of this video, for this challenge, if I'm a sole proprietor, I'm a sole business owner, and I'm the one doing everything, this is the schedule that I'm gonna follow because it's the most manageable for a week-long period. And once you make your first 10K, that's when you go find a setter or an SDR off of a place like onlinejobs.ph. You give them the script that I'm gonna give you and get them to follow it word for word. Okay, moving on. Here is the sales script that we're gonna use. And this is my exact sell by chat sales script that I use and have closed tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars with. So the first thing we're gonna do to open the conversations, we're just gonna say, name. Thanks for whatever it was, right? Thanks for the follow, right? Grateful for the follow, super stoked that you followed me. I'm glad you're here, right? Nothing wrong with showing a little bit of gratitude. It shows that you're different and you're not just immediately going in for the sale. Plus, it also shows that you're not a bot when you're using their proper name. The next thing I like to do is I like to connect and compliment them. Honestly, there's no script here. You want to be a human. You want to go check out their profile. Sometimes people's profiles will be private, so you kind of got to use what you can find, either in their bio or whatever. Most people have something. If they don't have anything in their bio and it's totally locked down, I'd probably move on to the next person, honestly, because it's going to be really hard to get information out of those people normally. It's up to you. If that's the only lead that you have to work with, then open it. But that should be a last resort and not a first resort. You want people who are open and actively using the platform. Then what I also like to do is I like to send them a quick compliment, and just typically this is done in a voice note. Hey, I love what you're doing. I love how you talked about something specifically that they said in their content. You want to compliment them for what they're doing, because people like to respond to that. It's called the law of reciprocity. If you compliment them and you're nice to them, they're going to want to respond back to you and just say, oh, cool, thanks. I'll tell you a little bit about it. So then we're going to move into step 2, which is quickly qualifying them. And this is where we want to ask them a yes or no question, like, are you here for the content, or are you here because are you doing something that I can help with, right? Not that explicitly, that is the variable where you say, are you here for the content, or do you have a personal brand that you're trying to grow? Are you here for the content, or do you have some weight loss goals you're trying to meet this year, right? Something that gives them an out to just say, nah, I'm just here for the content, man. I don't need any help. And you say, cool. That's when you come over here. If they give you just content, they ghost you or give you a super vague sort of like spotty answer, which these people will. They just fucking met you. They don't know who you are. You got to give them an out and be able to pull them back in the conversation conversationally. What I like to use is I'll say, just curious. Like, first of all, I'll say like, yeah, no worries. Just curious. What was it about my comment that actually resonated with you, right? What made you want to follow, right? Or what made you want to engage? What made you want to, jump in the post and leave the comment, right? And from there, they'll tell you, usually, and you're gonna find out based on what it was that they had said, probably what they're working on. Oh, I liked it because I usually struggle with meal prep. Got it. You like what I talked about meal prep around, what it was I was talking about. Why are you working on meal prep, right? What's the goal right now? And now you're moving back into a sales qualified conversation where you have somebody who's in market. And so use this with discretion, but it works very well to now pull them into the next stage, which the next stage is identifying what their focus is. So it's like, cool, well, what's the focus right now? What are you trying to achieve, right? What are you all about right now? You know, so what's, for me, if they're a coach or creator or expert or consultant, I'll say, cool, what's the focus right now? Coaching, consulting, making a new course? Like what are you doing right now to do it? Next, we want to find out what their goals are and where they're at right now. And so I'll say, what's your goal for 2025? Drop me the big target so that I can see if I can support, right? After that, after they tell you, most people love to tell you about their goals and what they're working on. So I'll say, cool, got it, totally doable. Where are you at right now? Because I want to establish what their baseline is, right? And again, I'm giving you guys a loose script here. You don't have to use this verbatim word for word, but this is the exact process that I use to close people directly in the DMs. You can take this same approach and use it on your sales call as well. It works flawlessly there too. Once we know what their goals are and where they are now, we want to find out what do they think they need to do about it. Because if I'm selling personal branding and they're talking about, well, I'm really sold on webinars, I don't know if it's going to necessarily be the best fit, right? So I want to know what they think they need to do about it first, right? So I'll say, what do you think that you need to do to get outcome or solve problem that you're working on? Once they're going to tell us, then we want to build up the gap. And so we want to acknowledge what they say. Say, cool, got it. You got to do this, you got to do X so you can do Y. What have you tried so far to make this a reality? And then from there, we may need to dig a couple of layers deeper here. Because sometimes people will say, well, I just need more attendees. Cool. What have you done so far to get more attendees? Right? Oh, well, I was, running paid traffic. I tried organic, and here were my numbers. So that's where we want to diagnose them now as the expert or the doctors. Great. Sounds like you have a problem with show up rate. Show up rate is a common problem with live webinars. Everybody's struggling with it right now. And then we're going to ask another follow-up probing question. Something like, what's your current conversion rate on people who actually showed up to the webinar? Okay, so from here now we want to check to make sure that A, they have the problem that we can solve, but then we want to actually see if there's any way that we can help them, right? Or that if they're even in the market for help. They've already told you what the goal is. They've already told you what they're currently trying to do about it. They've already told you what they think they need to do about it and sort of why it's not working at this point. So we've already built up the gap. So now we want to understand, okay, you're in this position, you're aware you're in this position. Are you currently working with somebody to get help with this? And so this is really, really important. Now, one thing, and this is what a lot of amateurs do, is that just because they have help already doesn't mean that it's going well. There's a lot of areas in which I have a coach currently and I've paid them in full already, but I'm not getting the results that I want. This is where you can offer them a second opinion. The number of clients that I have signed who are already working with somebody who's not doing very well, it's a huge percentage of them. Now, the next step, we want to ask them if they want some additional help, right? Maybe they say they're not working with somebody, maybe they tried working with somebody in the past. You can say, cool, would you like some help with it? Right? Or would you like some additional perspective on it? Either one, we're going to move them now into a solution-oriented state. And from here, this is typically where I'll either close them by sending the offer over directly in the DMs, or I'm going to send them to an offer doc or a VSL or something that's going to now illustrate exactly what it is that I can do to help them. Right? One of my favorite ways to do this, by the way, is just to outline what the offer is directly in chat so I know that they've seen it. But you can also do this via Google Doc, or you can do this by a Loom video going over a Google Doc. And it's a very, very simple way that you can spin this up very quickly. One of the things we do is we get them to now ping us back if they're ready to move forward. And, okay, we've shot them over the offer details. Then we're going to address any questions or objections they have. And most people are going to have objections. Or sometimes they'll just come back and ask for the price. If you don't have the price included on the original offer doc, which often I recommend, we want to sell price separately from what the value is. You want to drop the value first, leave the price after the fact. I only give price to people who are actually interested because honestly, price is irrelevant if you feel like the offer can't help you. Okay, I do not price drop unless somebody is actually interested in what I'm selling because it is redundant. You do not want people making decisions based off of price. You want people making decisions based off of how you can help them and the results that you can bring to the table. The price is secondary to that. And so, while Objections are really a bit too much of a complex topic for this video alone. The main key thing that you want to do with your objections is always get to the root of the objections. A baseline way to do this: agree with the prospect, totally understand, that's no problem. Just curious, what makes you ask that? And you can reframe that however you want. If they say, I need to talk to my spouse, you say, okay, cool, just curious, do they know you're having this conversation today? Do they support you in pursuing this goal? And then you continue to walk down that process. What do you think their concerns might be about this? This allows you to address whatever the root cause of the objection is. A very common one that people are going to get is going to be money, right? I don't know if I can afford this right now. This is super expensive, yada, 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 yada. One of the easiest ways to break this down, because sometimes money is a real constraint for people. And I think a lot of people don't address this properly, and they think that if they just bulldoze their way through a sale that it'll close. Not necessarily the case. You say, okay, money aside, do you feel like this offer would help you get dream outcome that you just told me that you wanted, that you've been trying to achieve for weeks, months, years, whatever it is, right? Do you think that this would work for you? I just want to know, because if it is, maybe there's a way that we can figure it out and work together. But I don't want to do that until I know that you're 100%, 10 out of 10 committed to this being the thing for you, okay? And that's a very powerful way to overcome it, because it allows you now to step into coach mode and coach them through taking a look at what their finances might be, potential payment plans or options like that. And so again, this is a very, very powerful way to overcome that objection. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to close and onboard them as a client. If at any point they've fallen off on this stage, right, this is not necessarily going to be a linear process. We're going to take them and we're going to follow up with them the next day or later on that day by means of jumping back into the conversation, dropping them a quick voice note, double tapping on their messages, or what have you. One thing I will tell you that is a very, very, very large pro tip here is that if somebody says they're in, do not leave that conversation until they have signed and paid for the program. Okay, or paid for your service or whatever it is that you're selling, whatever your offer is. Do not leave. Somebody says, hey, I'm just driving right now, I'll get to it later today. Say, cool, is there any chance you can pull over quickly so that we can tackle this right now? Because I want to make sure that you're going to get onboarded. And this is the only time I have right now to properly conduct the onboarding to get you into the system today, right? Otherwise, I might not have time tomorrow. I'm super stacked, I'm super busy, I got meetings all day long. So you want to make sure that they're ready to take action now, because here's what will happen. You'll have people who say, I'm in. And in that moment, they 100% are. But if you let them drive home, you let them cool off for an hour or two, they will start to cool off. And what will happen is their conviction will die off and the money will start to sit in and scare them. And they'll go from excited and hopeful to now almost fearful of spending the money. Like, did I make the right choice? But they're not going to give you the chance to actually overcome that objection. You'll just never hear from them again, or you'll hear an excuse. Oh, my wife, I started talking to my wife about it and she doesn't think that it's a good time. Or, the mailman came over and then I got distracted by, we had puppies. And there's always going to be an excuse that will come up. So don't ever let them leave that conversation once they're in. Because if you do, I can promise you the only person who's going to be thinking about it will be you. Now, the next pro tip I can say, and this is critically important, is that after they pay, after they've signed, and after they've moved forward, then you want to make sure that you hand them off to client success if you have one, or you want to make sure that you onboard them, get the materials immediately, as soon as possible. You want to, first of all, reassure them that they made the right choice, that you're going to be there with them every step of the way, so that you're now going to help them get the results that they need and that they want and that they're hiring you for, and making sure that they get the materials that they paid for like that. This also is great ammunition for closing the deal right away, because you actually are handing them off and closing them and onboarding them right away. So it's that concierge onboarding. But what will happen if you don't? If you just collect their money and give them nothing in return, you may experience a lot of people who ask for refunds because it's buyer's remorse. If somebody gives you money and don't get anything back in return, that's a big problem, because they don't have anything now to start going through or to put their hands on. They're at peak excitement right now. So what you want to do is you want to onboard them quickly, you want to get them diving into the materials, and you want to get them started in that process immediately while they're bought in, while they're excited. So that way later on in the day when they start to cool off from their decision, they don't hit the holy shit button and ask for a refund. You absolutely don't want to do this, and I've seen this happen a lot. Now, so that's essentially how you conduct this process now with just organic traffic. We're going to jump on over into how to do this with paid ads now, which is infinitely simpler. And one thing I'm going to add here is that to maximize your return with ads, you're still going to want to do all of the fundamentals that we talked about in the previous section, especially grabbing that sales CRM that's linked in the description below. Because if you start generating inbound traffic to the tune of hundreds of DMs a day without a tool to stay organized, it's going to become very untenable for you. You will not be able to manage hundreds of DMs directly in your inbox. It simply will not happen. So do yourself a favor, don't do that. Grab the CRM and use it. You'll see for yourself. It's a great tool. It's absolutely going to support you on this journey. Now, coming down to paid ads, there's really 3 core things that you need to do. You're going to do a lot of the stuff that you were doing in the fundamentals before. The core difference being is you're not going to have to post as much content. If you're constantly churning out content or whatever and you want to do that, that's great. But if you are doing paid ads, you don't necessarily need to, because your paid ads are going to become that new content that's going out and fishing and hunting for you on your behalf. You just have to put budget towards it. So if you do, the first thing we're going to do is they're called simple FGAs, or what I like to call follower growth ads. And what this is going to look like is we're going to use a specific script that's going to get our ideal audience tuning in and raising their hands and then giving them a call to action to follow. And this can be as simple as solving a burning problem, sharing how you got a stellar result, and shifting their belief on something that they previously thought was impossible. Like on this video, I tell you how I close hundreds of thousands of dollars selling directly in the DMs, right? Until today, maybe you thought the only way to sell high ticket stuff was via a phone call. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. Now, don't get scared in thinking that you have to do this complex media buying process. This process can be as simple as following the script, which I'm going to give you here in just a second, and then boosting the post directly from your Instagram account. Okay, so the KPIs that you're looking for here, 10 cents to 25 cents per page visit USD, and $1 per $3 per follower. More if you have sort of like an ultra high ticket offer, then you have a little bit more leeway room. You can go up to $5 to $6 per follower and still get a disgustingly high return. So if you're outside of those KPIs, you're going to want to look at your hook, and you're going to want to look at, the quality of your content. Is it actually something that's resonant? Is it solving a burning problem? Is it showing how you got a stellar outlying result? Or is it actually shifting their belief on something they previously thought impossible? Now, here's the proven script. It's hook, I got unusual result in time frame, or I solved problem in time frame after previously struggling with XYZ. Without normal way they're told to do it, or without other normal way they're told to do it. So in this case, I would say, I grew my business to 40K a month in the last 6 months without hopping on sales calls or without having to, post content every single day of the week because I'm using ads. So then we're going to go into here's what I did and how did I pull this off, which what we're doing is we're leaving them on the hook. It's called an open loop. And this is what gets your customers diving into your content and consuming more of it because they have to close that loop. Then I'm going to briefly tell my story, how I ignored conventional wisdom, aka what they're doing now or what they were told to do by their other guru, and forged their own path. And I'm going to highlight the pain points of what they were told to do. I used to do sales calls, but sales calls took up a ton of my times, and I really only converted about 10% of the people I was on anyways, so I would spend 10 hours of phone calls to close one client. It really wasn't sustainable for me anymore. So I did something new. And this is where we're now going to highlight what's different about new method. I tried just shooting my offer over in the DMs, and I call it the DM offer doc system, right? You're going to give your system a name. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to prove that it works, and we're going to say it's allowed me to get benefit and ultimately dream outcome, which is the thing that your clients ultimately want. And then we're going to share with them and say, if you're like me, so if you're like me and you'd rather get benefit so that you can other benefit and finally dream outcome, then call to action. So give me a follow and comment keyword. The keyword part is optional. You can just address this directly to the follow. And then you're going to tell them what they're going to get. So when you send me the keyword, I'll send you a training video showing you exactly how you can do this within time frame, just like I did. So that's the script. Follow it and use it. Now, this is my $1 a day nurturing system. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to take your existing content that either shares your story, that gives value in motion, which value in motion is something that solves a micro problem that is later going to create another problem for them because it puts them in motion solving their own problem. Or it's going to shift their belief around what they thought possible, as we discussed before, or gets them engaging in your content in a meaningful way. Maybe it's dropping their own thoughts, struggles, problems, engaging on a poll, something like that. And we're just going to drop each one of these creatives at $1 a day. And it's very, very simple. You can boost these either directly from your Instagram account, or you can do this within your ads manager. Very, very simple. You don't have to go and create a ton of content around this if you don't already have it. Or if you do want to create new content, you can use the framework that I gave you earlier and just drop it in this format. And so what this does is this gets your potential clients engaging with you and gets them consuming your message in the way that you specifically do things and proves to them that you can get results. Not to mention it buys a ton of goodwill. Now, the next is going to be our lead gen system. And so this here is we're going to target our hottest leads first. And so this is going to be your DMs, your followers, your strategic content views. So if you have something like a highlight reel or a case study reel, we're going to target people who have watched that at 100% with these ads. We're going to target our email list, and we're going to target anybody who's viewed our application with the Facebook pixel. And what we're going to do is we're going to show them case study content, aka proof of results. We're going to run direct invitation offers. Things like, I'm looking for 5 avatar that want to outcome in the next time frame. Or we're just going to give them a direct pitch of what our offer is. These are people who are sitting on the fence, who are bottom of funnel. Now we can run this at $5, $10, $20 a day, and we're going to pull these people off the fence and into our sales qualified lead pipeline, and they're going to be coming inbound. These are not ones that we're necessarily going to have to fish for like we did in the previous process. Okay. Lastly, you can simply run just lead gen content. If you're not comfortable running a direct pitch, you can run something that's just like this, giving away a free training or what have you, like I did here. You know, how to monetize your personal brand without feeling like a sleazeball, reply with trust, and I'll send it right over to you. These type of story ads do very, very well, especially in retargeting, and then use the sales script that I gave you before to now open up that conversation, qualify, and close into a client. So that is how to scale with paid ads. Now that was exactly what I would do if I absolutely needed to make 10K in my business this week. But you can also run this every week. This isn't just a Hail Mary play that you use once and then discard forever. This is a sales system that you can run week in, week out. And if you think that you might like my help installing this into your online business, then head on over to Instagram, look me up at Westbriggs Official, shoot me a DM with the word 10K, and we'll have a quick chat about what that might look like. Aside from that, there's one more component to this system that will really help you scale long term. You can watch me break down the full system in this video right here.